All right, shalom, shalom. All right, before I get started, I want to give all praise and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rakakwadash. All right, double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone that rule well. And shalom, wakasah, laha bakyar, which means peace and mercy to the elect. Throughout the four corners wherever you may be. All right, I'm the brother Amar from the branch of GMS Cleveland. All right, now coming back at you with another video. Lord, will this be edifying to whomever may be watching. And I was just, looking at some videos from some of the brothers. The elder brother Amawan Gabar from the main camp. He had did a video touching on the blackouts that's happening over there in Indiana, in Gary, Indiana, and also Elder Dimash Damashapat. You know, he also spoke on it as well, and he actually showed a small clip from an actual video he took, personally, um, of a gas station that is that has lights over there in Gary, Indiana. I don't know which part or whatever, but he was saying that he thinks the blackouts are deliberate. They done on purpose, and which they could be. Because we know how Esau Edom likes to experiment, or not only experiment, we know how he gets down. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these situations where we thinking, whether it's in the news or whatever, we thinking is real. A lot of it don't need to be real. A lot of it be, situations where they created, or they straight up BS, man. These Jakes right here too, man. I can tell. You know what I mean? Like they Filipino or something. But these are definitely niggas. Anyway, I'm gonna get into these scriptures, man, and I'm just gonna go into the stuff that we've been teaching for years. Starting with our apostles and elders. We've been talking about these situations, how they're going. There's gonna be more of these situations going to rise. Remember, the blackout. Blackout was one of the situations that happened in ancient Egypt. That was one of the plagues that hit ancient Egypt, man. All right, and we hoping and praying that the Lord sends more of these type of scenarios and situations here, man, because really these people are really prideful, man. These people are prideful as hell. They don't consider, Yahweh Shem Shah. They're not taking heed to the word. So at the end of the day, man, look, these people deserve this, man. So like I said, let me get this real quick, man. I told myself I'm gonna get another Bible app, because this one right here is, man, this Bible app right here is terrible. This is Ephesians chapter 5 and 14. It says, "Wherefore he saith, Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead." It says, "And Mashiach shall give thee light." Right, and our people are spiritually dead. They don't see and understand the times that they're living in, because they're not observing. They're not observing the times that they're living in. We've been talking about these situations, man. All right, and it's like now all of a sudden when these things actually transpire and happen, now you want us to be, you want people to be remorseful. I ain't gonna say us. You want people to be remorseful. Towards you. You got a lot of our people, or just people in general. They upload these videos and talking about, the current conditions that they're in and what's actually happening. Well, man, look, guess what? Don't nobody give a damn. Nobody's gonna come to your rescue. All right, if anything, it's gonna be prolonged, and I believe they've been dealing with that blackout over there in Gary, Indiana. They've been dealing with that for going on almost a week or two. All right, but it says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools but as wise, man. And our people are not working. They're not walking circumspectly. All right, they're just they're caught up in the cares and affairs of this life, and having fun, and just dibbling and dabbling into the ways of Babylon. Meanwhile, they're not really taking heed to the prophets. They're not, they're not taking heed to the prophets. They're not paying attention to the news. All right, that's why it says, verse 16, Ephesians 5 and 16. It says, "Redeeming the time, because the days are evil." You see, they're not redeeming the time, man. They're not redeeming the time. All right. If anything, like I said, they're they're actually getting further away from what the men of the Lord are saying. They rather not even, they rather not even, take. They rather not even listen to what we have to say. You don't see really no people. You don't really see no Jake stopping by the camps, trying to get some type of information on what's happening and why are these things happening. But so, like I said, once the Lord actually allows this man to really open up and really, do damage to you people, you gonna wish that you gonna wish that you had listened to the men of the Lord, man. I'm telling you, bro. It says it says verse 17, wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And that's the thing. A lot of our people, they don't understand what the will of the Lord is. Like, and that's the spirit. Like, look, like I said, I'm banking that that's an Israelite woman, even though she looked like a heathen. I'm banking. You know what I mean? A lot of it was like a little family that came out there, this little sprinter van next to me, like Filipinos, or, you know what I mean? That's what it looks like. But them are Israelites, I can tell. But the spirit bear witness, man. You know what I mean, as I was talking, you know what I mean, you had a nigga woman walk past, you know what I'm saying? Just, which ain't nothing wrong with what she was doing, but it's just more so the times that we living in, man. You do you honestly believe that she's caught up on the things that are happening in today's time? Or would you willing to bet your bottom dollar she's caught up in folly? I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar she's caught up in folly, along with her husband or her whoever nigga she's having sex with, man. You know what I'm saying? It says, verse 18, it says, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is access, but be filled with the Spirit. And this is one of the things that we harp on, man. All right. A lot of our people, they're not, they like scripture say, they've been made drunken, but not with wine. You know what I'm saying? They stagger, but not with strong drink. That that is going into our people are not physically drunk, even though Jake is, but that scripture in this context is talking in the book of Isaiah is talking about how our people are their minds are caught up on the philosophies and ways are in doctrines of this world, this present kingdom, and some of the previous kingdoms, because a lot of this kingdom is infused with the other beliefs, other doctrines, other philosophies, other previous kingdoms that came before it. That's why you go to the book of Revelation, it talks about this place being the mother of harlots. All right, Babylon it pretty much infuses all the previous kingdoms' ways of living and doctrines, and they merge into one. But anyway, I just want to speak about I'm going to speak about also some stuff that's happening here in Cleveland. Me and the elder brother Thamiyaya, he was talking about it earlier. Actually, he was mentioning it to me. He was talking about like some similar stuff is happening in East Cleveland. So, and in Cleveland, you have an area within Cleveland, Ohio, called East Cleveland. And it's considered like its own little sub city. All right, but anybody that's from Cleveland or familiar with Cleveland, you know that place is East Cleveland itself is that place is horrible, terrible, especially if you have to live in there. But I think they're you can look it up, you can look this information up too. I think they're down to like 2 or 3 police cars, you know what I mean, and like one detective, you know what I mean. So the people of that area have to rely on 2 to 3 cop cars, you know what I mean, and one detective if somebody breaks into their home or this, that, and the third. All right, man, we coming upon them times. We coming upon them times where the Lord talks about in the book of Matthew, where it says um, 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 that man is not the love of many shall wax cold. We coming upon them times, and that's the thing, man. You people, you never took heed. You didn't really understand what it is that we were talking about. But once this shit actually kicks off. All right, well, I will say, once these things kick off, the prophecies more, you gonna know, like Scripture saying in Ezekiel, you gonna know that there was a prophet before you. But let me get this real quick. This book of Matthew, chapter 24 and 12. I'm gonna get to the point. It says, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Oh man, it's lucky. I mean, a little tired, but yeah, the love of many is waxing cold. All right, you starting to see that and experience that firsthand over there in Indiana. All right, there's accounts where people are so-called laying. All right, there's accounts where people are, women are pretty much are getting raped or along those lines getting harassed. All right, there's other accounts, where people are, getting, stalked in other situations, man. They're running low on food. All right, which when people run low on food, they tend to act outside. They tend to not act normal. They tend to act outside of their regular selves, because when food is scarce, people tend to do what, man? They tend to panic, and they tend to what, have less care for their neighbor, or the ones that live next to them. So the times we living in, like I said, when you look at the times, all right, it's going to be bad all the way around. The situation that's happened over there in Indiana is going to pretty much hit the whole America. All right, get this last scriptures real quick, man. Close it up. Man, I forgot. This is my other scripture. This Bible app just doesn't have the apocrypha in it, but I'm gonna just quote it though. When you go to the book of Second Ezra's, the 16th chapter, if I'm not mistaken, I believe around 35 or 38, somewhere around there, 39, where it talks about the plagues, and pretty much the plagues coming as a woman. That's the times that we living in. All right, you know what I mean. Look, you better brace yourself for what's about to happen, man. So the Lord had the prophets out there to warn you. He still has us out there to warn you, week in, week out, day in, day out, putting up videos like this one, and you people still refuse to take heed. But that's okay, because this message is only for the elect, and even within the elect, well, even within our people, we understand that 2/3 of our people not gonna get it. Only 1/3, and you know what I mean. You gonna understand, like I said, the stuff that we talking about once is in your back, your back porch, so to speak. So hey, I pray edifying that I don't give all praise and honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakak Wadash. All right, double honors to our apostle Ezra Millstone and Shalom. Come on, man. Like, what the hell? All right, this thing. I don't want to end. Hold on one second, man. What the hell, man?